Well, morning everybody.
It's afternoon.
Yeah, probably is. You'll have noticed that we're not in Brian doing our regular morning start. That's because the batteries were flat in the GoPro and we were travelling, so we didn't stop. So we'll do it here. And we're back at Esquelbecq. But it's Remembrance Sunday, and when we were last here we noticed that there is actually a memorial to troops that were massacred during the retreat to Dunkirk. They were rounded up, put in a barn and killed by the Germans. It's one of the few known massacres that took place on our side of the fighting and against, shall we say, Allied troops. A lot took place on the Eastern Front against civilians and Russian troops, but there's not many against Allied forces directly, the British or the Americans and so on, Canadians, Australians. The only other one that I can think of is Malmedy, which was during the Battle of the Bulge, and it occurred there. But very often it has the complete negative effect. It doesn't terrorise troops, it actually makes them fight harder, because why would you surrender to an enemy that is likely to kill you? You're just not going to do it. But we'll go and see if we can find it, and see if we can find a little bit more about the men and the history of the place. So, on the 28th of May 1940, 100 British soldiers were rounded up in this area after the camp was attacked by SS divisions. They were placed in that barn that we've seen up there. 3 hand grenades were tossed in, but the men were so closely packed, some men dived on them, they saw what was happening, and that lessened the explosion. An officer and 1 private, Albert Evans, decided to make a break for it. They ran from there down to this pond and dived into the water. Unfortunately, an SS officer had seen them escape. He came down and whilst they were in the water, shot both of them. The officer was killed and his body was never recovered. Lost. But Albert was shot in the neck, was so wounded that he was knocked unconscious. He survived. He made it to Dunkirk and escaped. There was a plaque inside the barn which said that when he died his family came here, his wife, his 7 children, 38 grandchildren, 28 great-grandchildren, and I think it was 4 great-great-grandchildren. The bravery of the man, that sense to survive. So we've just dropped off at pet reception. Buffy's gone in with her new French passport and out they come, and I'm hoping it's all gone well.
Everything's done.
Everything's done?
She said, that's perfect.
Okay, that's perfect. So, French passport?
That's all
No problem.
No problem at all.
So there you have it. You can get a French pet passport with no address, or an address that is local to you, and it's fully accepted because your dog doesn't have a nationality. It's just a legal document for that country, and she understands that, and we understand it.
Very nice lady she was too.
Well everybody, we've got Buffy through pet control on her French pet passport with no issues. We came through the French side of customs control, and we decided, as it was quiet, to ask about stopping in Europe when I'm married to an EU citizen. Basically, all we need to do is have proof of our marriage, and that's it. I can stay as an EU citizen beyond the Schengen agreement, beyond the 90 days, with no issue. What he did have to do though was stamp my passport, because he didn't do it first time.
Hello.
Morning.
I need to check the gas off, please.
Yes, the gas is off.
Yes.
Oh, she's going to check.
Yeah. Oh. Yes, fine. Should have left some.
Can I open the gate to move a little bit?
Yeah.
Getting through.
Thanks a lot. You can follow the green light number 4, please.
Number
Merci.
4, merci.
So Alan's just been stopped to make sure that the gas was off.
Yeah.
Which it is. Sadly,
yeah.
that means no cups of tea.
Number 4. Yeah, I got it. Green light, number 4. So I was saying, the French border control man was very, very helpful. Don't know what he'd done if he hadn't had my passport back and looked at it and then re-stamped me out. I don't know. Maybe he assumed it hadn't been stamped in because I was travelling with an EU citizen. But we asked at the English side and got a very curt
No, madam, I work for the British government. You would need to ask an EU member of staff. So I was just like, right, okay, thanks.
yeah.
Love.
Yeah, and then of course they pulled us over for
Random
checking.
check.
Yeah, we'll always get pulled for random check. Always like to say that I got close to the limit on beer, but they came round. At least they didn't try to look in the little poo hole this time,
Yeah.
which they did last year, where they thought somebody would be hiding in a tiny 8 by 24 inch slot. I don't know, but that's enough for us. we will carry on and see how we get on board. This is the bit I like.
You like?
Yeah, I like getting on the train. It feels so wrong.
It does.
Bum, bum, ba-dum, bum, bum. Tip if you're doing it and you've never travelled on the train before, don't get too close to the vehicle in front. Camper vans and motorhomes are fairly long, and the last thing you want to do is get caught halfway between where these doors close. It was one thing that when I was reading and watching videos about how it's all done, so I'm just passing that tip on to you. But if we drive any further, I'll be back in England.
And how are you feeling about going back to England?
Well, as long as the ticket isn't in the way, how am I feeling back to England? Well, it's a country that I love, but it's not a country I want to stay in for too long. This is cold and it's wet, but we will get about. This is just the end of one small portion of journeying. You know, there will be more to come. Day trips here, there, maybe a weekend away until the big decision comes for next year.
Yeah.
But every day and every month we get closer to June, the closer we get into going full time. I think this trip hasn't been about seeing how much we could spend, but how little we can enjoy ourselves on. And you know, at stages in country we were down to £42 a day, which is going to be very, very manageable on our pensions, which is going to be important.
At the end of the road, turn right.
Oh, Tom still thinks I'm on the road, but it's telling me I've got 314 miles to get home. So we will see. I'm going to wait for the last few people to edge us up, and that'll be us done. Hello everyone, we're back in England. We've been back in England about 10 minutes, and I've just nearly had a little Fiat sideswipe us from the fast lane and nearly lose control in front of us. I have no idea what he did, but he wiggled almost into the middle lane, out into the outside lane, and nearly lost it. It's just every time we come back into the UK.
Yeah, I think maybe God's trying to tell you something.
I don't know, but when we last came in by a car, somebody ran into the back of us as we joined the M25. Not enough to break anything, but they definitely nudge bumped us. It was actually, it shook me a little bit, because I was overtaking. I'd got nowhere to go. As my brother would say. So we're going to try and just carry on. Got 260 miles to go.
Got an earlier crossing than we were expecting, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Normally, you know, we try to get there an hour early, like they suggest, and if they can get you on, they'll get you on. So we're just headed up towards the M25, and then it'll be Dartford Crossing, M1 or the A1 up and on our way home.
And we haven't had a cup of tea yet.
We've not had a cup of tea yet. Had some orange juice though.
Oh,
But
we
anyway.
did. We did. We had one
In the
before we
morning,
left.
before we left, yes.
But not second cups of tea.
Well, I'll stop somewhere, you can have a cup of tea. You'll have to turn the gas on for yourself. But anyway, whilst the concrete road is making it all very, very noisy, we will say so long. Might get a little bit just before the end, and you'll probably certainly get a bit as we arrive home. She's stood by the door.
I know. Come on.
Come on.
In here. You're part of it. Up here.
Right, well, that's the three of us. We set off on the 26th of June, and we've been in the van every day since then. But this, to you, will be the end of Destination Lost 2021. A full 60-day trip around France and Spain and Belgium.
Yeah, it feels quite emotional coming out of the van, I have to say.
Yeah, and we'll see how that goes on. But yeah, we're back home. Be the first time we've been in the house, I say, since then.
It'd be lovely to see the family and,
It will indeed.
and friends.
So, until something happens between now and then, maybe a day trip out or something else, we will wait till where the adventure continues.
And thanks everybody for joining us.
And following us. Maybe being inspired a little bit.